The scent of old books and brewing coffee hung in the air as Elena walked into the cozy bookstore. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating motes of dust dancing in the air. It was the kind of place where one could get lost for hours. And for Elena, it was more than just a place to buy books. It held a special significance because it was here, nestled between the shelves of well-loved novels, that she'd first met Sofia. It had been 2 months since that rainy afternoon when their paths had intertwined in a secluded corner of the office building. 2 months of stolen glances, whispered conversations during breaks, and late-night texts that made Elena's heart skip a beat. Their love had bloomed amidst the hushed environment of their workplace, nurtured by secret smiles and carefully hidden affection. Now, they were here in this bookstore, surrounded by stories waiting to be discovered, just like the feelings that had blossomed between them. Elena scanned the familiar shelves, her fingers trailing along the spines of the books. She could still remember the first time she'd seen Sofia in the office, how her laughter had echoed through the space like wind chimes. Elena had been drawn to her like a moth to a flame, intrigued by her spirit and captivated by her warmth. Their friendship had deepened quickly, evolving into something more profound over shared cups of coffee and quiet evenings in the almost deserted office. A low chuckle broke the silence, drawing Elena's attention to Sofia, who stood a few feet away, her gaze fixed on a book in her hands. The sight of her sent a familiar warmth spreading through Elena's chest. Time seemed to stand still as Elena watched Sofia, her heart swelling with affection. She loved everything about her, the way her eyes sparkled with intelligence, the slight dimple that appeared on her left cheek when she smiled, and the kindness that radiated from her like a beacon. Sofia turned, catching Elena's gaze, and a blush crept up her neck. "Found anything interesting?" she asked, her voice like honey. Elena shook her head, unable to tear her eyes away from Sofia. She realized she hadn't come here to buy a book. She had come to see Sofia, to be near her, to bask in the happiness that enveloped her whenever they were together. "How about we get some coffee?" Elena suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. Sofia's face broke into a radiant smile. "I was thinking we could try that new Italian place around the corner," she said, her eyes shining with anticipation. Elena nodded, eager to spend any moment with her. Hand in hand, they left the bookstore, stepping into the sunshine that seemed to amplify the brightness of their spirits. The city bustled around them, but for Elena and Sofia, the noise faded into the background. Their steps were in sync, their fingers intertwined as if they had rehearsed this moment countless times. They settled into a table outside the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed espresso mingling with the sweet scent of pastries. As they sipped their drinks, a comfortable silence fell between them. It wasn't an awkward silence, but one filled with a shared history, a silent acknowledgement of the love that bound them together. Elena stole glances at Sofia, studying her profile, memorizing the delicate lines of her face. She thought about how lucky she was to have found love in an unexpected place with a person who understood her like Sofia did. "What are you thinking?" Sofia asked, turning to Elena with a knowing smile. Elena blushed, caught in the act of daydreaming. "Just how incredibly happy I am," she confessed, her voice soft. Sofia reached across the table, her fingers intertwining with Elena. "Me too," she whispered, her thumb gently stroking Elena's hand. In that moment, Elena felt a surge of gratitude. She had found love when she least expected it, in a quiet corner of a bustling city amidst the shelves of a bookstore. As the afternoon wore on, They talked about their dreams, their fears, and the stories they wanted to tell. Elena listened intently, her heart overflowing with admiration for Sofia's spirit and determination. Sofia, in turn, leaned in, her eyes sparkling with amusement as she shared funny anecdotes from her childhood. They were a study in contrasts, yet somehow their differences fit together perfectly, creating a harmony that resonated deep within Elena's soul. The cafe began to empty as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the pavement. Elena felt a twinge of sadness, knowing that their time together was limited. She didn't want the day to end. She wanted to freeze this moment, hold on to the feeling of Sofia's hand in hers, and let time stand still. They strolled through the park, hand in hand, their footsteps echoing the rhythm of their beating hearts. The vibrant colors of the flowers in the gardens around them seemed to intensify, as if nature itself was celebrating their love. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, they found a secluded spot on a park bench under the shade of a weeping willow. The branches formed a natural arch overhead, creating a canopy of leaves that rustled softly in the evening breeze. "I love coming here with you," Elena whispered, leaning her head against Sofia's shoulder. Sofia's fingers tightened around Elena's hand, and she pressed a soft kiss to the top of Elena's head. "Me too," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. Elena closed her eyes, breathing in the scent of Sofia's hair. The vanilla notes mingled with something uniquely hers, something that made Elena's heart race. She didn't want to imagine a life without Sofia in it. The thought of losing her was unbearable. Suddenly, a lone bird took flight, soaring high above them, its wings cutting through the twilight sky. "Do you believe in fate?" Elena asked, her eyes fixed on the bird. Sofia turned to her, her gaze intense. "I do," she replied. "I believe that we were meant to find each other." Elena felt tears prickling at her eyes. Sofia's words resonated deep within her, echoing the sentiments she'd been harboring in her heart. As darkness fell, they reluctantly made their way home, their steps slower now, their fingers lingering on each other's arms just a little longer. The city lights twinkled around them, reflecting in the depths of their eyes. The distance between their apartment buildings seemed to stretch endlessly, and the thought of spending a night apart was difficult to bear. Inside Elena's apartment, the silence was comforting. They sat on the couch, not saying a word, yet sharing a connection that transcended words. Elena traced patterns on Sofia's arm, her thumb gliding over the soft skin. Sofia leaned into Elena's touch, her eyelids fluttering as a sense of peace settled over her. "I'm so glad you're mine," Elena whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Sofia raised her head, her eyes searching. "And I'm so glad you're mine too." Then she added softly, "Always." The promise hung in the air between them. A bond unbreakable, a love that defied definition in that quiet apartment, surrounded by the echoes of their laughter and the ghosts of their dreams. Elena and Sofia found solace in each other's embrace. They knew that they weren't just lovers, they were partners, confidants, and most importantly, they were each other's home. The next morning, sunlight streamed through Elena's window, rousing her from sleep. She turned to her side, but Sofia was already awake, her eyes shining with amusement. "Good morning," Sofia whispered, her voice a caress. Elena smiled, her heart overflowing with affection. "Morning," she replied, and as they embraced, They knew that this was just the beginning of their story, a love story that had unfolded between the pages of a book, nurtured over cups of coffee, and blossomed under the watchful gaze of the old weeping willow. They had found each other amidst the chaos of everyday life, and now their journey together had only just begun.